everyone, it's Jess here, and I am participating in the Secret Not Secret Kit Club telephone hop, and I just happened to be following Katie, my sister, so hopefully you checked out her video yesterday. If you didn't, it is linked in the description box down below, and it's also the very next video on our channel. So as you just saw then, that was an image of her layout, and that is the layout that I am inspired by to create with today. So I was taking in the beautiful Vicky Bouton paper that she had used in the background with the super gorgeous mixed media, and decided that I would sort of give that my own go. And so I've got all of these X's and O's that were the inside of a cut file, and I am just sticking all those randomly around on my page. I've almost completely 100% run out of glue, so I desperately need to go shopping and buy some more glue. So I am trying really hard to get enough glue out of this glue bottle to stick down all these X's and O's. And once I stick all those down, I also have a few little love hearts that again just came out of the inside of a cut file. I haven't even used the cut file they were from, actually. I cut them a long time ago with a layout in mind, and then just never did it. So I really need to get going with that, I think. So anyway, here moves on to when I was talking about trying to do my own mixed media background, Vicky Bouton-esque. So I decided that the black and white was just a little bit too stark for my loving, and I knew that I wanted to put watercolor paints on it anyway. So I've pulled out the gesso and just put a light covering over top of the black X's and O's. And that's going to be the start of my base for my watercolor background. Then the next part of Katie's layout that I really tried to copy or continue with my layout was the layers and layers and layers behind the photo. So I noticed that she had multiple mats behind her photos. She had two photos and they were both square, I think. I always just print mine 3x4 size. And I actually had 3 photos printed for this particular layout, but I thought I would stick with 2 like how Katie had done it. And I'm just using all the scraps from my Bohemian Dreams kit that I've got here. So all of my little bits and pieces, I'm just layering those together as best that I can to just really pile up the colors and the layers behind my photos. So I'm basically using any little bit. I'm not doing full mats, full squares. I'm not actually sure whether Katie did or not. Knowing Katie, I don't think she will have. I think she will have just done anything. But I'm only doing it that way because that's just what the paper is that I'm working with. So I'm sort of trying to do the same 2 colors on, like if I'm using this dark floral on one photo, I'm trying to put a little bit of the dark floral on the other color on the other photo, but I'm really just using as much of my paper as I possibly can. And I'm really just killing this kit, just smashing it, to be honest. I'm starting to get the feel at this stage of my layout that I am not going to have anything left by the time I finish this particular layout, and whatever is left of my Bohemian Dreams is just going to get mixed in with my stash, because I'm really feeling that I'm pretty done with this kit now. So I have no idea how many layers of paper I did. I just kept piling them on, quite a few. There's the light blue stripe, there's the dark blue stripe, there's the dark blue floral, there's this kind of crazy psychedelic paper, and then there's the purple as well. So light blue stripe, dark blue stripe, blue floral, psychedelic, 5, that's 5 different layers. But then I get some frames out of the ephemera pack and layer those behind as well. So I've really tried, about 6 layers on each photo. So I've really tried to go with what Katie was doing there and just layer up these photo mats. And I also have one big white mat around the photo as well. So this is a really great way to use up your scraps. As I mentioned earlier, obviously, your photos don't need to look the same. It's just another way to get them to sort of pop off the page a little bit. And it ties in a whole bunch of other colors too that you might not have been using otherwise. So it's a really nice way to not make any pieces of ephemera stand out or anything like that, because you can just have a little pop of that color coming through from the mats. So I really like that. So once this is finished, I move back to my background. It's had enough time to dry, and I've just pulled out my watercolor paints. Now, people ask me all the time, these are a no-name brand. These are just from a cheap $2 shop in Australia. It's actually not even around, I don't think, anymore, this exact shop that I got it from. I'm going to say that these were really like, $3 to $5 watercolor paints. They're probably supposed to be for kids, but they're really good. I really love them. I now wish I'd bought like six packs worth of them. And I'm just doing that packaging technique. So just scooping out as much of that colored paint as I can and just sploshing it across the page. And I kind of end up doing it in almost like a cross. So I've got sort of that dark pinky purple color going across. I've got some purple going across. And now I'm getting in a little bit of navy dark blue, which kind of comes out like purple because I'd already mixed it with the pink. There's no actual purple in that palette. I make it up. And then I'm just dipping into those colors again and doing some splatters on top. And then I'm going to put that aside to dry. So that's my mixed media background. Oh, with some gold splatters, of course. Because I love gold, but I also noticed that in the paper of Katie that she was using. So just, that's why I did some of these really big spots that you can see me deliberately placing there. Because I noticed in the Vicky Bouton paper that Katie used that she had some really big splotches happening on her page. And I wanted to do that as well. So once that is dry, it's not 100% dry. Some of the really big gold splotches are not quite dry, but I don't want to wait any longer. I'm going to get started. So I'm just popping my photos up on foam and going to place those in the middle of my background, as again, very similar placing to where Katie has put hers as well. Then I noticed Katie had a little cluster in the top left and a little cluster in the bottom right. Oh, I should also mention Katie had a frame around her page. So before starting anything, I cut my white paper down, half an inch on the top and the bottom to allow for a 1/4 inch frame all the way around the page. So that has already been planned for in my brain, because again, I noticed that is a main feature on Katie's page. The sort of main things that I'm picking up on Katie's page is the frame, the mixed media background, the layers behind the photo, and the cluster placement. So I'm really sticking quite closely to the way Katie's created her layout. So I'm just popping my top cluster here. And again, as I mentioned earlier, I'm using the Bohemian Dreams collection, but this is from a kit subscription that I get, which is the Kitaholics kit subscription, and they have exclusive cutter parts. So I started using a few of the exclusive cutter parts, but I just found that they weren't really tying in with the feel of my layout, and I end up only using Bohemian Dreams ephemera. I also end up just squeezing every last bit of Bohemian Dreams ephemera onto my page, whether it needed it or not, because as I said earlier, I was just so close to having finished this kit. I was like, I'm just going to get these on. So I end up with the only things I have left from my kit are the exclusive cutter parts and a few enamel dots and a tiny little skerrick of paper. So I'm really happy with the way I've smashed out this kit on this particular layout. So Katie, as I mentioned, she had a cluster in the top left and a cluster in the bottom right. She also had a cluster above the photo, in that, like where I'm working right now, above the photos, and she also has her title and a cluster in the bottom left below the photos, so in those sort of two diagonal spots. And so I'm working around those similar areas. I end up sort of spreading my top cluster out quite a lot more than she does, which is fine. There's no rules to this, people. I'm just telling you. And to be honest, I actually don't love my cluster. It's fine. It doesn't look bad. But I liked the placement of the feather a little bit lower down. So when I was watching this video and saw that I used to have it placed a little bit lower down, I actually went and pulled it off the page and moved it down further. Because it's amazing when you look back on the video and you go, oh, I should have done that. Oh, that did look better before. I should have done that. But anyway, it doesn't matter. Like, I watched myself put that little dream catcher, or start putting that little dream catcher on, and at the time I went, oh no, that's way too big, it doesn't work. But I was like, oh, it was actually kind of cute. Oh well, too late. So my title, Take a Bite Out of You, is sort of along the same vein as what Katie did. It's the two different types of thickers, and it is in the same vague location as where Katie put hers. So I really have stuck quite a lot to her original layout. It just looks quite different because it's a totally different collection that I am using. But all the basic elements are all still there. Now, I don't have enough paper to do a mat. And I really would have loved to use, actually, this mat looks beautiful and I love it, but I actually would have preferred to use a different mat, but the pattern clearly goes in one direction. And to be able to make a mat by using strips like this, you really need a pattern that won't be noticeable if it's all turned in different directions. So that's fine. I end up going with the floral and it looks super cute. And you can see there the 2 bits of paper that I have left, a little bit more of that floral and that light blue. Then I'm sticking on my enamel dots, and then that's literally all I have left of my Bohemian Dreams collection, and I am super happy that I am smashing this kit. I usually hoard my Cocoa Vanilla Studios, so this is really brave for me. And here is my finished layout. So I will be passing this on to the wonderful Alyssa, and she will have her take on this video, this layout tomorrow. So make sure you stop on over to her channel and check it out tomorrow. If you haven't seen Katie's or the people before us, make sure you check those ones out as well. Thank you so much for watching. This was my first time taking part in a YouTube telephone hop, and I'll definitely be doing it again.